All right, so let's dive in. As you can see on the screen here, that guy was me back in 2016. And it was the first time that I had ever spoken at an event. Now, what you're not seeing is all of the things that were leading up to this. Me spending, skipping lunch and going in my hotel room, practicing it more times. Me being in the back of the room and my fear just building and building, building, my heart pounding out of my chest, saying things in my head like, who am I to be doing this? You know, is this going to be valuable? Are people going to enjoy this? Is this going to be helpful? Right? Worrying about the criticism that might happen. Has anybody ever had this thought, imposter syndrome? If that's come up for you, let me know in the chat if that's an experience that you've had, because that's what was happening to me. But what was so amazing is that after I got off the stage, so many people came up to me and said, "Thank you so much. Like, this was so valuable. This was so helpful." And so I realized in that moment that a lot of times the fears, the things that we're worrying about what people are going to say, is that a lot of it doesn't matter when we focus on that person that we can help. And if you do have information that can help people, then that's what matters. And you're going to see how this kind of ties into what I'm going to be, talking about today. But one thing that happened from this is, and this is before I even started a business, I made my first video. And that is what I looked like in my first video. Hair all over the place. I had just done a workout. I'm wearing this white tee. Just, I don't know what I was thinking. I was just inspired to record what I was learning. I had just learned about this great podcast and I wanted to share it. And like many of you, maybe you can relate to this story, but I recorded the video and then I watched it and I was like, I don't know if I want to post this. And I'm like, thinking about hitting that post button. And then I'm like, let me watch it again. And then I watch it again, third time. Finally, I was like, up. And I just hit post and I threw my phone. No joke. Just threw my phone across the room. I was like, I'm not going to touch it. I put it out there. And what was so cool and what transpired here was that I had all of these people commenting and saying, "Oh my God, this is so great. What podcast is this?" And particularly, there was one friend that came up to me and said, "Nick, you should make these videos every day." I was like, "Whoa, Bill, slow down. How about I just start with once a week?" And that was kind of where I started my video journey. And I started making these videos in my car where I would just talk about things that I was reading, books that I was, things that I was learning about, podcasts that I was listening to, and just kind of passing on what I had learned. It wasn't like, "Hey, I'm an expert and I'm amazing at all these things." It was, "Hey, this is what I learned and I thought it would be valuable for you." And then eventually, when I launched my business over 6 years ago, I started making more videos. And so at this point in time, being in business for 6 years, starting videos before I was even business, I've made a video every single week, posted a video every single week since then. And so you can imagine it's collected quite a few over the years. But I share this is that the power of video and really what it can do. And that's what we're going to be talking into. But I do want to say, this is one of my favorite things to do. I love the opportunity to speak and share. And so, Danny, thank you so much for having me because this is what lights me up. I do love teaching because I hope that you leave this session with some valuable information, things that you can take back and you can implement into your business, because that's the most important thing for me is that you find value and there's some action items and some nuggets that you can take away. Again, Danny introduced me. One thing you should know is that I have been in the healthcare industry, home care specifically, but again, senior care businesses for over 10 years. So I know a lot about the industry and I love speaking. And so we're going to dive into mastering your digital presence. All right. And so, real quick, one of my favorite quotes from the legend Jim Rohn. Anyone like Jim Rohn? Let me know in the chat if you like Jim Rohn. I'm a huge Jim Rohn fan. And he says, when you listen to something valuable, write it down. When you come across something important, write it down. Now, that being said, I know that a lot of times you go on these trainings and there's, a bunch of stuff on slides and people are taking out their phones and they're taking photos of stuff. I don't want you to have to do that. I want you to be focused on what I'm talking about, what I'm teaching. And so when you have ideas and things that I'm saying come up, you can write them down versus necessarily just writing what's on the screen and things that I'm saying that's that's easily accessible. And so with that, I've created a online presence playbook. And so what this will allow you to do is everything that I'm going to talk about today that's on the slides is in this playbook, as well as a bunch of other bonus content. So I'll give you a minute right there. Let's see if we can put I'll put it in the chat real quick too. Sometimes the scanning the QR code through the screen with the TV does not always work the way that I want it. But now it's in the chat, so if people need it, you can access it right there. And now we're gonna continue on. So, what makes home care unique? How many people? Well, let me get a in the chat real quick, because I see some placement. What business do you guys have? What is it? Home care, placement. What do you guys do? Let me know in the chat, and I can kind of uh, tweak this presentation to be more aligned with who's here with me today. So let me know in the chat what's your main business, and I'll kind of structure it around that. Obviously, I know it's senior care and what you guys are doing, but this will help. Recruitment, placement, love it. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Nannying, estate managing, housekeepers, excellent. Nanny recruitment, childcare placement, recruitment for nannies, babysitting services, excellent. Awesome, cool. So, one thing that you should know, and this is going to be relevant for you guys, is specifically what makes senior care unique, right? And that is that you have three different target audiences that you're often trying to attract, right? You've got clients, you've got caregivers, nannies that you're trying to attract, and referral partners, people that can refer you business, right? And so it's essential that when we're creating content, when we're showcasing what is it that we do and how we help people, we want to make sure that we're talking to all three of these audiences, because often someone will focus, especially when it comes to social media, on one of these, right? I know a lot of people doing recruiting, wanting nannies. That's a big aspect, right? But if that's our only focus, we're missing out on the clients, the people that need the services. So we want to make sure that we can speak to all three. And so what I'm going to talk about today is going to be focused on all three so that you can have that success that we want. But here's the problem, right? So many businesses look exactly the same. It's just the same thing, right? Placement agencies are the same. Home care agencies are the same. Child care agencies are the same, right? You're providing that same service. And so it's essential that we are differentiating ourselves, really standing out from our competitors. What are we doing that's going to be different? And these are things that I'm going to be talking about. Now, I am curious because, again, I do talk to a lot of home care agencies, but I'm curious if any of these photos look familiar and with what you guys do. For those that are in senior care, now I see a lot of it is nanny care. Okay, let me see if we got. So for placement, um, these photos might not be as relevant, but if you work with home care agencies or you work with other senior care businesses, right, what we're seeing here is a very common thing. So we want to avoid these common stock photos, and I'm sure you guys see it amongst yourself, those certain stock photos that are just the same that you see all the time. And so we want to make sure that we're avoiding this. We want to avoid things like, compassionate care, right? Just these common phrases that you guys see. But what makes home care, senior care, right, the same as any other business, right? Placement agencies, the same as any other business. It is building relationship. It does not matter what business you are in. This is the most essential aspect of all businesses if you want to continue to grow and scale your business. Harvey Mackay says the quality of your life is determined by the quality of relationships, and the quality of your business is no different. And so, what is the one tool that was created specifically for building relationships? You might already know the answer, but it is social media. Mark Zuckerberg, way back when he made Facebook, it was based on this principle of building relationships, wanting to connect people that were at Harvard, right? And then it expanded to other colleges and really expanding from there. And so, what's funny too, I remember when I got my first Facebook, and I had an older brother at the time. And so I'm on Facebook, and I don't know if I sent him a friend request or he just saw me. I'm sure it popped up, and he goes, "What are you doing on Facebook? That's just for college kids." Oh, how things have changed. Right now, what do people say? Oh, it's just for old people. This is such a funny aspect, but also understanding this is like a key principle to just understand how social media works in general is that one social media platform comes out, the youngest population generation goes over to it, then the older generation population starts to move over to it, and then the younger ones are like, my parents are on this, I'm leaving, and then they go to the next platform. And so that is what our history tells us, right? Facebook came out, all of a sudden, all these older people were on Facebook, everyone moved over to Instagram, right? Then all of a sudden, generation started moving over to Instagram. TikTok came out, moved over, and there were some other ones, right? Snapchat in between, and there's a Twitter, Facebook battle for a while, and things that were going on. But that's the progression that we're seeing. And so even with the rise of TikTok, there's going to be another platform. I can guarantee it. Another one will come out, and then everyone will move over. And so what's really important to understand, I'll get more into that, is what makes them common of all of the social media platforms and how they haven't changed. But it's important to think about this is that social media is not a strategy. It is a tool and how we choose to use it. I know some people have different opinions around social media, good, bad. There are some bad things about social media. It's part of the way a lot of things are. But the way that I like to think about it is it's like a hammer. And a hammer can be used to harm and to hurt, but it can also be used to build and to create. And so it's up to you in how you choose to use social media and how you want to leverage it for what we're talking about here in building relationships, because that's really at its core. And a lot of times people are thinking, and what I see so often, people just are blasting about the services that we offer. Oh, we do this, we do this. And it's just this constant feed of talking about the services that you offer. We got to avoid those things. And we want to think about it more as a tool, specifically with building relationships and connecting with business contacts. So I recommend that specifically, let's talk about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the number one business social platform. I love LinkedIn. I think it is the most powerful. I think it's the most underutilized as well, because there's a way less percentage of people that actually post on LinkedIn compared to the people that are to the number that are on it. But it's also the one where you can actually see where people work. You can see where what their job description is. You can see what company they work with. You can then look at the company and see who works there. It's the only social media platform that allows you to do that. So if there's certain accounts, there's certain businesses you want to connect with, it makes it easy to be able to connect with them or find the people that you want to find. And so an easy way to start this, right? Quick action items is just start connecting with people that you already know. Just connect with them. People that you went to high school with, people you went to college with, people that are in your church, people that are in your communities. Literally anyone that you know and have come across in your business journey, connect with them, because it's going to build your network. Your net worth is your network. Your network is your net worth. Have you ever heard that quote? It's a great quote. I don't know who said it, but it's a great quote because it's true. And this is a way for us to build our digital network that allows us, because again, there's this aspect of being able to see where people work. And I'll get into how you can leverage that in a second here. But it also creates this transparency, being able to see who people are, what they're doing on a regular basis. I like to think of it as the new business card and really being able to leverage this. And why is it the new business cards? Because you know what happens, right? You go to a networking event or you get that pile of business cards, right? Where's it go? It goes into your pocket. And then you get home, and then where does it go? It goes right into that drawer. I know we all have it somewhere. It's on your desk, maybe in your desk somewhere. Mine's right here. I have it too. Just a stack of cards that people give me occasionally. There's one on my desk that I need to, follow up with. But here's what happens, right? It goes in your desk and then nothing happens. Or maybe you have a meeting with them and then kind of just like fizzles out, right? And so what this allows us to do is that if we build our social media presence, this allows us that we stay in front of people. Business marketing is about staying in front of people. And so this allows us that If you meet someone at a networking event, hey, it was really great to meet you. Are you on LinkedIn? Most of the time, they say yes. You're able to connect with them right then and there. And then now, if they're on LinkedIn, they're now seeing your content. They're seeing your post. Now, you can connect with them on other platforms. And what I've found in this industry is that you tend to connect with people on Instagram and Facebook with people that you have a really good relationship. So it's kind of a more advanced relationship with people. And if you are friends with social workers or other people in the industry, that becomes a little bit more of that personal connection that you have. But again, that's what the social media is for. The fact that you have those barriers of who you're accepting showcases the value of social media and how people protect it. But it really is based on how we can build this relationship and showcasing who we are as people and what we like to do, and really building that know, like, trust factor. And that's what we're looking to do. And this does work, right? This is an example of one of my clients posted a video, overnight care 5 days a week. So you never know who is going to see your content and who you may be connected with that needs what it is that you're sharing, right? Who needs a nanny. These are essential things that we want to think about when we're building our network. How are we making sure that the people in our ecosystem, people that know us, actually know what we do? Because that's the truth. So many people, your friends, family, don't even know exactly what you do. And this is a huge disservice. When you do this properly, when you leverage this, it is going to have such a greater impact, because the more people that know what you do, the greater your reach, brand awareness, which then leads to more sales, more revenue. And I know that that is what you all want to do. That is what you're looking to achieve. So connect with those people. Now, one thing to keep in mind too, this is one of my favorite quotes. I heard this at a conference that I was attending, that you when it comes to LinkedIn, he specifically said, you don't have to post photos of your kids, but people should know that you have them. And I think that is like the perfect kind of quote to summarize understanding what you should and shouldn't share on LinkedIn. Because it is an important thing. If you do have a family, that you're sharing things, you're talking about them, that they know, because it's what it humanizes you. If we're just constantly posting about our business, then we're not creating that connection. And we create connections based on common interests, common bonds, common values that we have. Just think about it like this. All right, so I need some participation here in the chat. All right, so go over to the chat. What are some of your interests? Things that you like to do when you're not working? Let me know. Put it in the chat. If you want to speak up, you can also unmute yourself. I know there's some people, a lot of videos turned off, but it's all right. I would love to hear. So what are your interests? Just put them in the chat. Let me know. I'm going to take a sip of water. Rachel, gardening, love it. Karen, fly fishing, excellent. Hiking with my dogs, bird watching, amazing. Working out, concerts, writing, walking outside, love it. Being in nature, playing piano, nice, Danny. Yes, love it. Cooking, biking, amazing. Thank you all for your participation. Love that. And so here's some things that I'm interested in as well. I saw a lot of people put outside, right? Nature. I love hiking. One of my favorite things to do. I'm going on a hike this weekend. Super excited about it because I just love being able to get outside. Someone mentioned biking. I love to bike. Went for a bike ride yesterday. I'm actually training for a triathlon. Not like a big triathlon. It's just like the shortest one of the shortest ones that you can do. It's not going to be that difficult, I don't think. Sometimes I go swimming in the ocean. That's this one here. Me and my friends swimming out in the ocean, just for fun, for exercise, right? Someone mentioned working out. I love working out, going to the gym, going to baseball games. How many guys like sushi? Whenever I do that live, people always go nuts. They're like, "Oh my God, I love sushi." I doubt you like it. Yeah, Ellen knows what I'm talking about. Yes, I love sushi so much. It's like every time that I present at an event, I always get sushi after. It is the absolute best. Danny knows exactly. Danny, we'll get some sushi next time we see each other in person. We'll go out, get like an absurd amount. I mean, you should see how much I eat when I order for myself. Like people are like, "Oh, is anyone else coming?" No, it's just me. I have 4 rolls just for myself. Thank you very much. And that's on, a low day. I love sushi so much. But right, so I share this because now we have a connection. We have similar bonds. And so often people aren't willing to share who we are, and then it eliminates the possibility of connecting on a deeper level. And so when you think about relationships that you have in your life, referral partners that you have, friends, family, right, the ones that you're really closest to, it is built on these common bonds. It's built on these common interests. So we have to share things that we like to do that are more personal in what we're doing. And this is what I've found from a social media perspective that has created the greatest results both for me and for my clients. And it is really building out your personal brand and what that looks like. And so these are some of the things that I love to talk about on my social media, specifically like general motivation. I just tend to watch a lot of motivational videos and read books from motivational people. And so I like to pass that on. I like to be motivational. I love talking about gratitude. That's one of a core theme of mine that I bring up. And most of the time, it's because I find myself needing to remind myself that I need to be grateful. And so I think, well, if I need the reminder, it's likely that someone else does. And so it's not that, hey, I'm better than anyone else, I'm always grateful. No, it's just that I need that reminder, and it's good to remind other people, hey, there's lots of things to be grateful for. Let's take a second, even though, we may be stressed about certain things, business, life that comes our way. Really anything personal development. I'm a big habits guy, as you can see from this book, Atomic Habits. I've listened to it 10 times. I was actually at my event. I was really nervous because I gave the book away, but it was like, hey, come grab it. And I was worried that no one was going to want a book. I'm like, hey, free giveaway. It's a book. But people were stoked, which was cool. And that is like one of my favorite books, is one of the top recommended books whenever people ask me, because I think it has the highest impact for implementation. And it's just very simple and clean to understand, just being 1% better. Goals, right? Sharing my goals, things that I want to achieve in my life, struggles that I've had, right? Whether it's, the first time speaking, or failures that I've had in my business, and just being willing to share those things, because that's what creates that transparency. Now, you don't have to go around sharing things that are too personal, because we all know that there's some people on social media you're like, that's just TMI. Come on. Keep that stuff to yourself. You don't need to share that. But we do want to share things that with intention, things that are going to help us to connect people, things that are going to help people to better understand who we are as an individual. And then, as well as you're promoting events that maybe you're, attending in your local community, or anything you're being a part of. And then also sharing marketing videos, which we'll talk about how you can leverage in creating videos that are going to be effective. But we're not just blasting about our business. That's just one element of what we're sharing. So we want to be mindful of kind of that percentage. And if actually look at the playbook, I actually go over some of the percentages of like what you can share based on, business, personal, and kind of how to structure it when you're thinking about what type of content to be sharing. But this becomes really impactful just in general in how you're marketing your business. This is such an amazing aspect from a building relationship, because you never know who is going to know who, right? And so this comes back to LinkedIn. I mentioned I would reference this again, is really better understanding who these key partners and referral sources may be, and what is it that they like, right? And so if you know that there's these certain companies that serve your same audience, you're now able to go to those companies, see who works there, right? And then see if you have any mutual connections with those companies that you're working with. And so being able to do that is going to help you to get into these introductions, to get these meet and greets with these key partners in your network. But we wouldn't know that these relationships even existed had we not connected with them on LinkedIn and then saw those mutual connections. And so this is why it's so important to just connect with everyone and anyone that you know, because you never know who's going to be that mutual connection. And the more that you have, the more that you establish this, the greater reach that you have, the greater likelihood that you're going to be able to have that introduction and get introduced to that person. But one important key element of social media is that it will never take the place of handshakes, but done right, it will turn handshakes into hugs. So this doesn't go against, marketing, traditional marketing. You still need to get out there, hit the ground running, market your business. Can't rely on just sitting by your desk, because I see this happen all the time. Because people will come to me, they're like, Nick, this is great. I would love to do some social media, and because they're avoiding marketing, they're avoiding doing things that are more difficult, going to networking events. This is not a substitution for that. It is meant to expand and amplify what it is that you're already doing out in your network, out in your market. Because as I touched on before, people do not do business. People do business with who they know, they like, and they trust. And so the more that we can leverage this, the more that we can focus on these are the key elements, this is what social media is really about. And let's be honest, right? This isn't business to business. This isn't business to consumer. All right. When we're dealing with children, when we're dealing with seniors, it's a very important thing. It is P to P, people to people. They're not looking to buy from a logo. They're looking for people that they can trust, as well as, looking for nannies to come find you. They need to know that they can trust you when they're looking for someone, right? And we'll get into some ways that you can really leverage this as we continue on through this training. Is this good? Let me know in the chat if this is good, or should I just turn it off now? No. We're gonna keep on going, keep on rocking. Great, love it. Thank you, appreciate it. It's always funny doing this, like it's hard to get interaction, right? It's so different in a Zoom, than it is in an in-person. So I appreciate the people in the chat. Ellen, Christina, thank you. I love it. So I'm talking about social media, and this is a really important element, but you may be thinking, Nick, I've only got so much time. Where am I going to find the time to do this? And that's an important aspect, and we'll get to that in a second. But how many of you guys would like leads in your sleep? Sounds good, right? Almost too good to be true. Leads in your sleep. This is this always, every time I look at this image, it's just like kind of cracks me up. As you can tell, it's an AI generated image, as many of my images are. But again, we want this. Who doesn't want this, right? So how can we go about doing this? Very simple. You download this playbook. No, just kidding. But if you didn't get it, make sure you get it, because there's a lot of information. We want to create video. All right. This is the most impactful thing that we can do for our business, and getting leads in our sleep, getting people to watch us when we are sitting at home, right? Selling our business, connecting with people when we're out marketing, or, we're out with family, we're on a hike, we're out in nature, we're fly fishing, we're eating sushi, whatever it may be, you can get people to watch you and listen. And the big aspect of this, right, is according to Forbes, 70% of marketing professionals report that video converts better than any other medium. This is a key fundamental aspect when it comes to video, specifically around conversions. This is such an aspect, because so many times people think about this in the regards to just like going viral, or getting in front of like as many people as possible. What I really like to focus on is, are we getting our video content in front of the right people? Because if we get our videos, we get our content in front of the right people, we're going to increase those conversions. We're going to increase those sales. And this goes into recruiting as well, in how we're increasing, because conversions can mean a number of different things. It can mean hires, it can mean sales, it can mean leads. It means a lot of different A's. So a lot of different aspects. So we want to make sure that we're leveraging this. Another aspect to think about video is that 95% of a message when watched it, compared to 10% when reading in text. I'm sure you see this all the time. Like, you go to a website, if there's a video, you're much more likely to watch a video than you are to read. Now, yes, are there different people that prefer different things? Yes, but the majority of people would rather watch a video. And part of that comes down from a comprehension standpoint. So when we're thinking about this aspect of really wanting to connect with people, and you think about communicating with people, how many times and maybe you've seen this happen to you before, is you send a video or you send a text or an email to somebody and it totally gets misconstrued. And they're coming back and like, I can't believe you said this, blah, blah, blah. You're getting all caps and you're like, uh-oh, what's going on? I did not mean like this is not happening. This is not what I meant for to happen, right? This is just a common form of communication that text can easily be construed based on how it's being communicated, because often we read the way that we are reading, not necessarily how that person intended it. And so when we can leverage video, the things that we're sharing, the things that are being said can be heard the way that we want them to be heard. And social video generates 1,200% more shares than text and images combined, right? I talked about the progression of social media. How many guys remember Vine? You remember Vine? RIP. Yeah, I know. It's rough for all the Vine people out there. Yes. Right? People love Vine. But here's the thing to understand is that it hasn't changed, right? The social platform has changed, but the medium of video has not changed. When it comes to Facebook, when it comes to Vine, when it comes to Instagram, when it comes to TikTok, it's all the same. People like video. And so the more that you master this medium and leverage this medium, the more impactful it's going to be when these social media sites change, because video will remain constant. So, where do we start? There's three core elements and types of videos. Number one, connection. Two, social proof. Three, education. And we'll kind of dive into each of these and how you can start to leverage them. Because how many of you guys want to be different, right? You want to stand out. You want to be this yellow umbrella inside this sea of black. But what makes you different? What makes your agency, your organization different from all of those other companies out there? The truth is, it's not your services, it's not your people, it's not your employees, it's not your offer, what you sell. It is your story and why you got into this business. If you've ever read the book, Simon Sinek, Start With Why, I love this book. It's one of my favorites. It's a phenomenal book that I highly recommend. He actually has a lot of really great books. I actually recommended another one to my client this morning, talking about Leaders Eat Last. Great book. Also, The Infinite Game, another really great book by Simon Sinek. He's an amazing author and got famous from a TED Talk talking about starting with why. And he's most quotably known for saying this: people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. And this is that key aspect that we're talking about here. How are we connecting with people on that deeper level and getting people to know, hey, like, why did you start this business? Why did you start a nanny agency of all the other businesses that you could have started, right? Thinking about, why did you start a placement agency of all the other businesses that you could have started? There's a lot out there, right? So generally, and as long as I've been in this business, there's so many, you have amazing reasons for why you got into this business. It's just a matter of being willing to share it and allow people to connect with you. So now your websites don't look exactly the same. We're putting that human element. And you can see a bunch of examples on my website. And I actually want to show an example here real quick. This is one of my clients. We're just going to show a quick little, it's a 1 minute clip of a home care agency. And I know that's a little different from some of you guys, but it's gonna get the point across in what we're trying to do here, which is create connection. So let me do this. All right. Oh, that work? All right. Well, let's see if you guys can hear it. Let me know if you can hear it.
During the time that I was caring for my grandmother, we did get to the point of needing to introduce home care into the mix because her level of care had come to a point that it was too much for the family alone to manage. It was the worst experience that we went through because my grandmother lived in a very rural town. Getting the quality of care that she needed was very, very difficult, and it took a long time to find a good caregiver for her. Her legs were amputated because she was a very bad diabetic. So my first taste of home care was an extremely bad experience. I felt that we could actually really make a difference in the sense of we understood it from a family perspective because we went through that and what a awful experience it was for the family. For me, no family should have to go through that. When people ask me, why are we different and what makes us different? Although I don't have a medical background, I started this business based on that I understand it from a family's point of view because we were there. We did this.
So as you can kind of get a sense of this connection, this emotional aspect, and it doesn't always have to be this where you're crying. I mean, she does get emotional in this video, and that is what makes it even more impactful. But at the same time, don't you feel like you're a little bit more connected to her? She's sharing this personal story about her family. You feel like you know her. You're like, I can trust this person. And that's what we're trying to do. When it comes to sales and generating more sales, it comes down to breaking down these walls, breaking down these barriers of can I trust this person? Because most of the time, we're not buying the product, we're not buying the service, we're buying the person that's selling us this service. And so the more that we can create this connection, the greater impact it's going to be. And there's a lot of ways that you can leverage this video once you create it, right? So you're adding it to your website, featured on your YouTube page. You create QR codes, right, that go to the video. You add it to your email signature so people are seeing it, right? You send it to applicants that are applying. You send it before a consultation, before you talk to someone or after you talk with someone, right? Messaging it to referral partners or people that you met. I saw Janelle put in the chat that, she loves networking, going to these events, and that produces so much results. So Janelle, imagine doing that even one step further. Right now, you're sending your why to all these people that you're meeting and connecting. Now they know you even on a deeper level. And so once we create this video, it becomes an asset. And that's what we're doing. A lot of times when it comes to social media and why I love video so much more than just like social media in general, and why I love YouTube specifically, which we'll get into, but when you post a video on Facebook, all these platforms, it just goes through the news feed and then it's gone. It doesn't show up again. And so what we're doing here is we're building assets that we can use and leverage again and again and again, where we're just sending to people to it. So a lot of my clients, my metric for whether or not they're, doing what they're supposed to be doing and actually implementing and using the why video that we created is that there should be a general gradual increase of viewership, which means that people are coming to the website, people are seeing it at applicants, they're sending it to referral partners because you should be getting views every single day with the activities that you're doing out in the market and actually using and leveraging this video. And so that's the power, is getting the right people to watch the video and not being like, oh, let me just put this video and then people are magically going to find it. That's not how this works. That's not what I'm saying for you to do. You have to create it and then leverage it. So it's not just about making it, but how we leverage it out in our field, out in our market, where we're consistently utilizing it as an asset. Making sense? Yes? Excellent. Here's some examples of some of my clients. Went to a networking event, and literally someone walked right up to her and said, I watched your video on your website. Your story about your sister was really powerful. Another example, this is Edward specifically talking about people showing up for interviews. He was getting 2 out of 10 would show up for an interview. And then after sending the why video, it went to 7 out of 10. This is the power of connection, increasing that show up rate. I know many of you are trying to recruit, right? Recruiting more nannies, recruiting caregivers. This is a aspect of it works when you use it, when you leverage this. This is another example of one of my clients. This is a comment on their YouTube channel. I think it's wonderful what you guys are doing. I hope I can join your company. I will be honored. How many people are saying this about your organization? How many people are commenting and saying, oh my gosh, I can't wait to work for your company. I'd love to work for your company. This is what this can do. This is the power of sharing your why, letting people know what it is that you do. Here's another example. The caregiver said, I love your video. It was so great. I hope you'll hire me. I would love to come work for your company. Again, these are the comments that happen. This is what will help you to attract greater people to your organization to then care for your clients. Another one here. I think it's amazing what you're doing. People are really amazing. I want to be a part of this. That was what the caregiver said after watching and seeing videos on our YouTube channel. Because why does this work? Why is this so impactful? It's because people won't remember what you said or did. They remember how you made them feel. That's the key element here. We're trying to create these connections. We're trying to break down these walls, break down these barriers, and hit people where it matters and touch them on the heartstrings and really connect with people on that deeper level. And that comes with just being a little vulnerable, transparent, and sharing more about who you are as an individual and not just, hey, like this is a logo. And I get it that many of you maybe started your business because you want to make money, and so did I, but there's more to it than that, right? I know that there's more. There's more that you have to offer. There's more of the reasoning that you do what you do, and we want to share that. And it's okay if that's part of it. Like, we want freedom. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, like that's what you want. You want freedom. I don't know anyone else that's ever wanted anything else, right? Money is a byproduct to get the freedom, but again, the business is the vehicle. At the end of the day, though, there's an internal reason that helps us to connect with people on that deeper level. So after connection is social proof, and this is a key element here. Recruiting is marketing, it's sales. You need to get people excited to join your team. I know that recruiting is a huge aspect, right? I saw that in the comments when you guys jumped on here. We need to understand that this is marketing and you are selling your company, right? Recruiting is sales. And so when you think about recruiting, and how to attract more people to your business, what do you think about when you're buying, right? When we're talking about sales, what do you look for? Maybe there's a site that you've heard of. It's fairly popular. It's called Amazon. And what do you do when you go to Amazon? You look at the reviews. You see what are people saying about this product, right? For me, I know when I go to Amazon, I just look, all right, well, how many reviews do they have and what's the number? Like, once I look that, then I'll look at the other information. But like, that's the first barrier to entry that I'm looking for. And at the end of the day, a lot of times we're looking for what's the number of reviews, right? Because you see someone that's like, oh, well, they got 5 stars, but they got 5 reviews. That's not gonna cut it, right? So the quantity of reviews does help. Side note, you definitely want to make sure that you are prioritizing Google reviews. This is a huge, again, side tangent. If you're not doing this, make this a priority from an SEO standpoint, search engine optimization, getting found on Google. You've got to get more reviews. This is going to be a huge and I've seen this in like super rural areas where like one of my clients had 12 reviews and was getting a bunch of clients from Google. And so that just goes to show you, again, that people are not leveraging reviews. They're not leveraging Google reviews enough where 12 is actually like superior than what a lot of people have. And so, but the more that you build it, the better it's going to become, building that credibility. Again, we're breaking down these walls. We're creating that trust. And from that standpoint, right, we want to think about how can we elevate this even further, right? Because anyone can just like put a review on their website, but it takes a whole different element to put video on your website. So this is a page on my website specifically of people that I've worked with, them saying nice things about me. Because here's the thing, I can come up here and I can say, hey, I'm pretty cool. You should probably work with me. I'm pretty great. But it doesn't sound very good, does it? But if you go on here and all these people are saying Nick's really awesome, you should work with him, what's going to be more impactful, right? Other people saying that your brand and your company is amazing. And this works really powerfully in recruiting. This is one of my clients' pages, and this is a bunch of their employees. And what I love about this, I don't know if you can see this, but these two, they look very similar, right? Can anyone spot the difference between these two testimonials? Do, 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 do. It's all right. One is in Spanish and one is in English. Imagine you're recruiting nannies in a area where there's a high Spanish speaking population. Do you think that having a testimonial in Spanish is going to be impactful? Absolutely. How we leverage this, how do we utilize this becomes really impactful. And then one of the things that we do is we take all of the video testimonials that we get, usually as part of what we do, it's usually 4 to 6 testimonials from our team, and then we put it into a compilation. And so now we're taking all of the best things that each of our team members said and why they love working for your organization, and now we have this core testimonial compilation that you can now leverage to recruit more people to your team. And this is what's going to attract that higher caliber people because you have this proof. Hey, this is a great company. Because what are we doing? This is sales, remember? So what are some of their objections? Oh, well, maybe I'm going to join this company and then it's worse than the one I'm already working for, right? How do I know that this company is even good? Are they going to have the work that I need to support, right? So we want to think about how are we handling the sales objections that they have for joining your team. We do this through testimonials and really vocalizing, having real people, real humans. And the best part about this too, this doesn't need to be fancy. Sometimes it's better that it's like not, you can just literally take out your phone, record some testimonials and leverage this. Like this is something that you can do right now. And if you download the workbook, there's questions in there on what to ask. Could it be that easy? Yes, it can be that easy. Again, there's examples that you can check out on my website. But how do we use this, right? How are we leveraging this to drive greater results, right? We want to send this to people. So if we're running Indeed ads, right, and how we're attracting more people, we want to leverage this video, showcase it to people. We want to put this on Indeed. We want to put this in our recruitment process. Hopefully, you guys are using some type of automated system in your recruiting process so that you can send this video to them on that regular basis right after they apply. I mentioned this earlier. This is going to increase that show up rate, making sure that you're automating it. Maybe you're going to a career fair, right? Job fairs. Having a QR code, if you may have noticed, I love QR codes. I think they're amazing. They're super, like if you print anything, I don't print anything ever that doesn't have a QR code. To me, like there's no excuse for that in today's world. You know, my 69-year-old grandmother knows how to use QR codes thanks to COVID, right? That was the one thing that came, out of COVID was people know how to use QR codes because you couldn't eat at a restaurant unless you scan this QR code to read the menu, right? And so we got to be leveraging and using QR codes. But now you can just take someone right to that video. They can watch it right then and there. It becomes that much more impactful of just like writing on a wall, right? Writing on a piece of paper. Now we're getting that animated person talking about how great it is to work for you. Now, the third part here is education. How are we leveraging education out in the market, helping people in these different areas that we want to focus on? Content is king, right? What do we want to be known for? How are we being a resource? Because at the end of the day, that's what we want, right? We want to be a resource for those coming into our network, those wanting to work with us. And YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. What's the first? Google. Who owns YouTube? Google. Just by having YouTube videos on your website increases your search engine optimization, allowing more people to be able to find you. So creating these YouTube videos is really impactful. And this is my favorite, one of my favorite quotes. A good YouTube video is like hiring an employee you pay once that works for you for free weeks, months, and years to come. So again, we are creating assets, video assets that you can use and leverage again and again. And what I love to share here too. So this is one of my clients, and again, this is a lot of home care stuff. So I know it's a little different from what you guys do, but there's a lot of similarities here. All right. One of the topics here, right here, is conversations with the elderly. It's got 12,000 views. Now, is this going to happen if you create a video on YouTube? Probably not, honestly. This is not a normal thing. And I love showcasing this, but here's why I showcase this. Not because it's like, hey, look at how many views she got because of me. That's not the case. The case is that there are 12,000 views of people watching this video, which showcase that there's a huge need for this content. And so I would challenge you to look up what people are searching for your business and what are the views that people are getting, because I guarantee that there is a huge numbers in these key topics that are super impactful that people need to know. And so you really want to think about what are the common aspects, what are the things that people are searching for, the information that people know, the things that you find yourself repeating over and over and over again to prospects, people coming into your world. How can we better educate them and create a library of resources for them to view and check out? And so this is what a lot of my clients are doing, right? Just creating and educating people. Showcase. What I love about this one, and this is relevant for so many different companies, is how are we creating strategic content that specifically handles objections that people have? And so when we're looking at this one, right, we have home care agency versus an independent caregiver. Now, in home care, the biggest sales objection that people have is, why don't I just hire a caregiver myself, right? So the same things. Why don't I just hire a nanny myself? It's the same aspect. And so we need to sell why working with an agency is better than going with the individual, right? The liability, everything that comes with it, what happens if they can't show up, right? You know all of this stuff, but other people don't. And so we're very strategic in the content that we are creating to create a need for the services that we offer, as well as basically handling objections to somebody going with a different option. Another example here that I love is questions to ask, right? And so as people are looking for different agencies, what questions should you ask a nanny agency? What questions should you ask a placement agency? And so when they call you and they say, and I'm sure you guys have heard this before, well, I'm just going to look around and check out some other companies. I know you've heard that, right? And so what do? In this case, if you have a video, hey, we actually have a video on questions to ask a placement agency, questions to ask a nanny agency. And now you send that to them. And in that video, you're talking about all of the amazing things that you do, the questions that they should ask that are going to highlight why you are the best and why you are better. And then when they go to ask these questions to your competitors, who are they going to be thinking about the whole time? They're going to be thinking about you. So again, how are we being strategic in the content that we are creating? But the main thing is that we are showcasing ourselves as experts, that you know what you're talking about, that they are in good hands, right? Showcasing that you know what you're talking about, because education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And what do you want to be known for, right? There's a lot of different aspects. It could be fall prevention, dementia, stroke, right? And anything specific around, now again, this is home care specific, but thinking about how you can differentiate yourself in your agency, because a lot of times people don't specialize in certain areas. And so regardless of what it is for you, you definitely want to have some key areas that you focus on in what you are talking about. And you can save lives. So depending on what your topics are and what you're showcasing, what you're doing, um, this is a really important aspect. Especially, we know what can happen when people don't have the right care services, when they're not doing the right thing. And so you educating people, giving them the right information can help them have the best decision, which leads to the best possible care, the best possible resources to these individuals looking for help, looking to you, being that individual. And again, I have this story, but for the sake of time, I'm going to skip it. This is my grandmother. We were making pizza frita. She passed away in 2016. But one of the stories that I always love to share, and hopefully this connects with you to some degree, but when I got a call from my dad and he said, hey, we just hired home care for your grandmother, the first thing I thought of was, did they get rid of that 2-inch thick carpet in her living room? And he's like, oh no, we need to do that. And so We removed that carpet because of me, because I knew that information. And my grandmother didn't fall in her home. And the thing is, there's so much content that I know that you have valuable information that you have in your head that can make a difference, that can make an impact by being willing to share this information, to put this information out there, educating people. Because so often when we're in our business every day, we just assume that people know these things, right? We're going to networking events with other people that also know the industry, and we just assume that everyone knows. People don't know. They don't. They don't know the most simplistic things. And so when you start to do this, when you start to educate people, you're going to have an impact and create a difference, as well as creating a differentiator so that you can stand out, right? In different areas that you can, be known for. In this case, right, he was talking about dementia, ended up becoming a board member on the Alzheimer's Association by talking about dementia. Standing out. What do you want to be known for? And then how are we leveraging this? How are we utilizing this? Right? Maybe you need a reason to go check out some referral sources, referral partners. You can create flyers, right? This is actually, we create QR codes to the YouTube channel. How many of your competitors are promoting a YouTube channel? Probably not many. This is a way for you to stand out. Hey, we've got all these amazing resources on our YouTube channel. And then you can leverage it, right? You can create marketing materials that specifically drive to the videos that you are creating. So again, we're building these assets and then we're leveraging them and utilizing them. Because people always say they're active in their community, right? Well, prove it. Take photos of you out in the community. Get rid of those stock photos. Showcase that you are a real person, a real company out in the community. You say that you're a great employer. Well, prove it. Get those testimonials. Showcase people actually saying that you are an amazing person to work with, right? You say that you're an expert, that you know what you're talking about. Well, guess what? Prove it. Showcase yourself as the expert. So, how do we get started, right? And maybe you can relate to this. I don't know what I should be doing. I don't have the skills, don't have the time, confidence, right? This is very common. I'm going to skip through this, but we make it simple and easy. You just have to be willing to get started and try it. Be willing to be seen bad. This is my favorite quote. I know I've said that a bunch of times, but this is like my actual favorite quote. In order to be great, we must first be good. In order to be good, we must first be bad. I actually made a video about this morning on my Instagram story because so often people say something like, I'm not good at this, right? I'm not good at this. And it's like, well, have you ever done it before? Like when you started riding a bike, were you just amazing? You just take off and you just start riding into the wind? No, you have like training wheels and they take the training wheels off and you fall off and you get bumps and bruises and scars all over yourself, right? So often we say, I'm not good at this, and it's really just an avoidant to doing that task, avoidant to doing that thing, because most of the time we're just afraid of what people are going to say. We're afraid of the judgment that comes with putting ourselves out there. But we have to be willing. There's the only way to get better at video, getting better at speaking, getting better at being a leader for your team is to do it. That is the secret. And perfectionism is the number one reason to not get started. So many people, oh, I'm a perfectionist. Stop saying that. It's not cool. It's not cool to be a perfectionist. It's not a badge of honor. Don't tell people because it just means that you aren't willing to do certain things. If you were actually a perfectionist, you'd never actually get anything done. You have to be willing to do things and get it out there and not be perfect and make mistakes and be willing to see making mistakes because people appreciate that more. It makes you more real. It makes you more authentic. And done is better than perfect. This is a key element. If you want to learn more, you can schedule a call. But I want to conclude with a quick story here because I know we're at the time. There's this old man, and he's walking along the beach. And as he's walking along the beach, he sees all this starfish up along the water. And as he's walking, he sees this young boy, and the young boy is picking up the starfish and he's chucking it in the water. He picks up the starfish and he chucks it in the water. And the old man approaches the young boy and he says, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm throwing starfish back in the ocean." He's like, "Yeah, but you're never going to save them all." He says, "Yeah, but I made a difference for that one." If you can create one video that helps someone to make a better decision for their loved one, is that not what you're here to do, to make that difference, to make that impact? You have the power to share this education, to create that impact. You just have to be willing to be seen, but you do not have to do it alone. My name is Nick Bonitatibus. Thank you so much. Now let's grow together.
Giant applause from everybody. Nick, thank you so much for doing this, for showing this, sharing the playbook. Amazing. Do you have time for a few questions? If
I do
anybody
have some time for a few questions. Yeah.
does anybody have a question? I asked before. I knew if anyone has a question. I know I did see someone say, "How can we do the YouTube video?" Um,
Yes. The simple thing for that answer is go on your phone, record a video, and post it on YouTube. If you need more help than that, contact me, schedule a call, I'll go into more details of how we can make it super easy, make that process as simple. And, basically with my clients, like 2 hours a month, and we get all the videos done professionally created, you being on camera. So hopefully that answers your question. But again, a lot of this stuff you can do on your own. It's just a matter of you doing it. That's where a lot of what we do comes in, because people are like, this is great, Nick. Yeah, maybe I'll do it, or they put it on the to-do list and it just gets pushed to the back burner. Here we got Natalia said, from your experience, how often do we need to post on social media platforms? Great question. So this is I'm gonna get myself in trouble for this. So here's the thing. When it comes to Facebook right now and business pages, your social media is just like, it's trash. Not your agency specifically, but just the algorithm specifically. And it is so hard to get reach on your social media, specifically like Facebook, because you're not competing against other agencies. You're competing against the internet. You're competing against Oprah and The Rock and ESPN and funny dog cat videos. And so it becomes really hard. And I think a lot of people prioritize social media too much and are trying to create way too much content, because people are saying, oh, you need a social media presence. But like, look at your social media currently and how many people are actually seeing the posts that you're sharing. Because if your reach is like 10, then like we're wasting time. And so I think if you're more strategic about the content that you create, and actually doing less is more is going to be a lot more effective. And so it's going to vary based on the time that you have. Personally, I think you're going to see a lot more impact on leveraging LinkedIn and doing something like once a week that's personalized, isn't some chat GBT write up that you just took, but actually something that is human and an element of your personality put into the post is going to be a lot more impactful. Um, View rate. What do you, Bluff City? Acceptable view rate. What do you mean by view rate? Can you maybe unmute? I wanna
Okay. So I guess what I mean by view rate is you reference 10, if only 10 people are viewing your content, what would be an acceptable viewing number, rate, percentage to warrant putting more time and continue to put time into social media?
Yeah, so great question. So there's definitely a difference too between the reach that you're getting and the actual like views on a video, because that can definitely vary, because someone watching a video is going to be a lot more impactful than just like their post going in front of your news feed. But part of it is, are you actively trying to grow the social media channel? Because that's what a lot of times people are so worried about posting it that it's not growing and then it's not getting in front of more people. And so you should be getting, I mean, again, it varies and it depends on what type of content that you're creating. But again, there's a lot of answers here. What are you currently doing? Let me ask you that. What are you currently posting right now? And do you know what your current reach is?
Um, my current content is just relatable mom advice. And my current reach every month is, I would say, like 55,000 people.
55,000 people like total, or like what are you getting like per average on each post?
I do not know that off the top of my, without looking.
Okay. Well, if you're getting 55,000 people, I would say keep doing what you're doing. That sounds great. Those sound like some great numbers. That
Okay.
is not the average. The other thing to keep in mind though is how are those views translating into sales and business? And like that's the other aspect that is often not considered. And so I don't always like to look at like viewership as a metric for success because at the end of the day, like, are people coming to you and saying, "Hey, I found you from social media"? And so that's the metric that you should look at based on your inquiry management process, that when someone calls you and you're saying, "Hey, how did you find out about us?" that social media is what people are saying. If you're not seeing that, right, then it's something to relook into, "Hey, how much time am I spending? Can I spend less? Should I spend more?" based on what kind of action you're currently getting. Hopefully that answers your question because it is going to vary based on your business, and kind of where you're at in your business and how much time is going on. Awesome. I'm glad. Um, excellent. Um, cool. Oh wait, is there any more questions? Let me see. I think I did. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Danny, thank you so
This
much.
is this is amazing. Everybody, I'm gonna take this amazingness and put it on YouTube, kind of like what Nick suggested, and then send it to all of you. And along with all of that, I'll make sure that the link to his playbook and his site is in there as well. If anybody has any other questions and they don't just go straight to you, Nick, about this, definitely reach out to me and I'll just put you in touch with Nick Bonitatibus. Um, yeah, everybody, thanks so much for joining us. Oh, and lastly, Nick actually was great amazing enough to share his expertise on one of our podcasts, How to Build a Care Agency, and it is phenomenal. And that will also blow your mind. So I definitely, I will share that with you too. I had a great time doing that with him. Like it was very enlightening, just like this was. Nick, again, thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for sharing your time with us and doing this.
My pleasure. Thanks for listening. Take care, everyone.